Tens of millions of Americans are trapped in an endless cycle of debt that's sucking the life out of them financially, Michael Snyder reports. Did you know that U.S. households are $17.69 trillion in debt? Of course, household debt is only one part of a much larger story. The federal government is $34 trillion in debt. State and local government are absolutely drowning in debt and unfunded liabilities, and corporate debt is at an all-time high. As a society, we're on the greatest debt binge in the history of the world, and it gets just worse every single year. Previous generations handed us an economy that provided us with an incredibly high standard of living, but we always had to have more. So we have been borrowing and spending with no end in sight, and now our day of reckoning is fast approaching. According to the New York Fed, U.S. household debt surged to another record high during the first quarter of this year. In the first 3 months of 2024, total household debt surged to a fresh record of $17.69 trillion, an increase of $184 billion, or 1.1% from the previous quarter. The increase mostly stemmed from a jump in mortgage balances, which rose $190 billion from the previous quarter to $12.44 trillion at the end of March. If we could handle all that debt, there wouldn't be much cause for alarm. Unfortunately, delinquency rates are rising. In fact, the proportion of credit card balances in serious delinquency has risen to the highest level since 2012. A growing number of Americans are falling behind on their monthly credit card payments as they continue to battle high inflation and interest rates, according to New York Fed Reserve data published on Tuesday. Credit card delinquencies, which have already surpassed their pre-pandemic levels, continued to rise in the 3-month period from January to March. The flow of credit card debt moving into delinquency hit 8.9% in the first quarter at an annualized rate compared to an 8.5% rate the previous quarter and 5.87% at the end of 2023. In fact, the percentage of credit card balances in serious delinquency climbed to its highest level since 2012. In 2012, we were just coming out of the Great Recession. And now a new economic crisis has begun, and millions of U.S. households are teetering on the brink of financial disaster. If you use credit cards, it's so important to pay them off in full every month. Unfortunately, approximately 44% of all cardholders do not do that. Overall credit card balances totaled $1.115 trillion in the first quarter of the year, $129 billion more than last year. For card users who pay their balance in full every month, that's not a problem. But according to Bankrate, roughly 44% of borrowers carry credit card debt over from month to month. It has always been financial suicide to carry credit card balances from month to month, and that is especially true today because interest rates are so ridiculously high. The rise in credit card usage and debt is particularly concerning because interest rates are astronomically high. The average credit card annual percentage rate, or APR, hit a new record of 20.72% last week, according to a Bankrate database that dates to 1985. The previous record was 19% in July 1991. If people are carrying debt to compensate for steeper prices, they could end up paying more for items in the long run. For instance, if you owe $5,000 in debt, which Americans do on average, current APR levels would mean it would take about 279 months and $8,184 in interest to pay off the debt, making the minimum payments. I always encourage my readers to pay off high interest debt as soon as possible. If you have credit card debt, eliminating it should be your number one financial goal. Sadly, the New York Fed's new report tells us that an increasing number of Americans are getting behind on their credit cards and their auto loans. The Fed's report showed 6.9% of credit card debt transitioned to serious delinquency last quarter, up from 4.6% a year ago. And for credit card holders aged 18 to 29, 9.9% of balances were in serious delinquency. Auto loan delinquencies are also higher as the average monthly car payment jumped to $738 in 2023. Close to 2.8% of auto loans are now 90 or more days delinquent. That equates to more than 3 million cars. Auto loans are the second largest debt category following mortgage debt, with $1.62 trillion outstanding. Tens of millions of U.S. households have severely overextended themselves financially. When you get to a point where you are so far in debt that you can barely make the minimum payments, it can feel like you are trapped with no way out. High interest rates are pushing low and moderate income Americans who have fallen behind on credit card payments and auto loans to the brink, according to a new report. It's crazy. 43-year-old Army veteran Ora Dorsey told New York Times, it does make it hard to get out of debt. It seems like you're only paying the interest. We don't have the credit to be able to buy a house, and we have a bunch of debt, either student loans or credit card debt. 31-year-old Chris Nunn, who drives for the DoorDash delivery app, told The Times, he said, so we're trapped. Dorsey also told the outlet that she has been trying to cut down debts accrued following various health issues for years. She's working 3 jobs to cut down her substantial debt. Today, Americans are more pessimistic about the economy than they have been in the very long time, and it can be absolutely soul-crushing to work as hard as you possibly can and still not have enough money for all the bills. If you're feeling a tremendous amount of stress about your finances, you are certainly not alone. According to one recent survey, approximately half of the entire population is struggling with mental health issues due to financial stress. Half of U.S. adults are struggling with their mental health because of their financial situation. 47% of adults say concerns about money have at least occasionally caused anxiety, stress, worrisome thoughts, loss of sleep, depression, or other effects, according to Bankrate's latest money and mental health survey. About 65% of them say their biggest concern is inflation and rising prices, and nearly 60% say their stress derives from paying for everyday expenses such as groceries and utilities. About 56% say they're worried about having enough emergency savings, and 47% are most concerned about being in debt, according to the survey. After seeing numbers like that, how in the world can anyone possibly claim that the U.S. economy is in good shape? The level of economic pain that we're already witnessing is absolutely staggering, and conditions are only going to get worse during the chaotic months and years that are ahead of us. But even though our leaders continue to make incredibly reckless decisions after incredibly reckless decision, many people out there continue to be convinced that everything is going to work out just fine somehow. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.